Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're very, very excited to be here with you all. It's been a big week for our little nonprofit, and we're so excited to roll out some really great changes, some great investments that we've been able to make in our nonprofit's website and in our programs that engage all of you, our skilled volunteers, our community members who are so passionate about giving back. So we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today on a Friday afternoon. We're going to be recording this event and sharing it out with everyone who registered. And also we're offering another time in about a month for folks to join as well to get to know our website update and updates that we've made to our programs. I wanted to give people options since some of these changes are pretty big ones, and we want you all to feel prepared and comfortable in navigating Taproot's programs so that you are able to volunteer your skills with amazing causes. So welcome to Skilled Volunteering Made Easier. We're going to be using today to introduce the new Taproot website. And I appreciate you all being with us today. I'm going to start with just a quick personal introduction, and definitely would love for folks on the line, if they do feel comfortable with it, use that chat box to introduce yourself as well. I'm also completely comfortable if folks want to use it as a bit of a networking space. We love that at Taproot. So if you want to introduce who you are, the type of professional area that you work in, and shout out your LinkedIn if you are comfortable connecting with fellow Taproot volunteers offline, then we completely welcome that. Please use the chat box to do so. So my name is Kimberly Swartz. You can call me Kim. I'm Taproot's Senior Director of Community Engagement. I've been at the organization for over 8 years now, which is kind of wild to say out loud. And I've had many, many different roles. And during that time, one of those roles has been as a pro bono consultant myself. So I've engaged in Taproot programming and other intermediaries programming as well, to really get to know the experience of being a skilled volunteer myself, so that I can bring it back to helping shape the program design of Taproot's own programs, how we can improve it, how we can better meet your resource needs, how we can better support you all as you are donating your own skills to nonprofits, small businesses, public schools, etc. So I'm happy to answer questions throughout from my Taproot professional perspective. And I'm also happy to answer questions just as a pro bono consultant, skilled volunteer myself. So definitely don't be shy, comfortable answering with either hat on. Pronouns she, her, hers. And I've linked my LinkedIn profile here. We are going to be sharing out this deck following the webinar, likely in a follow-up email on Monday. And so you will be able to connect with me through that link. A few other event logistics while I'm on the topic. So this is a webinar format. So all attendees have been automatically muted, and you do not have your video on. So I just want to reassure people there. We are recording this event, and as I mentioned, we will share out the recording along with the deck and a few other resources in our follow-up email on Monday. So just keep your eye on your inbox for that. So if you end up needing to bow out a little early, totally fine. Don't blame you at all. You'll receive the full recording in just a couple of days. We're going to use the chat box, which should be in the lower right corner of your screen. That's really how you're going to communicate with me. So you can send public or private messages. And if you have questions, comments, that's what I'll be keeping up with throughout the event. And at the end, especially if we do have a few dedicated minutes for question and answer. So please definitely use that chat box because I want to hear from you. I want to make sure this event is as relevant as possible for you. I have enabled closed captioning. If for whatever reason you want to turn that off, there should be a little settings wheel underneath my video where you can disable closed captioning and not have that be popped up for you. You should also be able to move it around your screen to a more convenient location. My last logistics note, I want to run through the agenda and let you know what to expect throughout today's event. So today, I want to make sure that you understand the breadth of who Taproot is. I know many of you are familiar with Taproot, but specifically through Taproot Plus, our online nonprofit and volunteer matchmaking platform. And so you've maybe only experienced Taproot through a Taproot Plus account and have no idea who Taproot Foundation, our nonprofit, is. And now that we've merged websites, things might look a lot different than what you were used to. So I want to make sure that we have the chance to take a step back and really reintroduce you to our organization and the breadth of the services and programs that we offer and that you have access to now through our merged and streamlined one website instead of two different ones. I'll also talk through what to expect from your Taproot Plus account. Obviously, there's been some changes there. I'll talk about some new site features and some improvements. And I'll also touch on improvements that are still to come. And then I'm going to use some time in the latter half of the presentation talking through how to connect with great causes using your Taproot account. And I can share some advice for consulting with nonprofits along the way as well, which might be helpful, especially for you folks that are a little bit newer to the idea of skills-based volunteerism. And I'll be answering questions throughout. I really appreciate everyone who's submitted questions in advance of this event. I've noted those down, and I'm going to make sure that I try and respond to those questions as we go through the content today. All right. So with that said, I want to make sure we get to dive right in. So as you might already be familiar with, Taproot is a nonprofit, and at our core, we exist to support our fellow nonprofits. So our mission, we empower mission-driven organizations by mobilizing skilled volunteers to advance resource equity. So what does that mean? Taproot was founded as a nonprofit back in 2001. So we've been around for over 20 years now. We are founded with this knowledge that there's a massive resource gap present in the social sector. So we have organizations who may very well have the solutions to our world's most pressing social challenges, but they simply don't have the financial means or the staff capacity or funding to carry out those missions to their fullest extent. And so Taproot's proposed solution to this is, can we mobilize resources, volunteers, energy and heart and care from these other sectors, from the corporate sector, to make sure that nonprofits have democratized, inclusive access to resources, regardless of their mission area, their budget size, or how many years they've been in operations, because those are often hurdles that nonprofits do face when trying to access resources that will strengthen their infrastructure or build infrastructure capacity for the first time. And so I want to make sure, as I mentioned, since many of you are only familiar with us through one facet of Taproot's programming, I want to make sure I address who Taproot Foundation is right off the bat. So I want to introduce you to a few of the pillars of our work. So Taproot Plus, this is likely where you do know us from already, but it's not all that Taproot does. So Taproot Plus enables you to give back to causes you care about using your unique professional talents. We're a free open access online platform that connects marketing, operations, HR, IT, strategy, finance, design professionals, and other professions as well, with opportunities to assist nonprofits and small businesses that need your expertise. And thanks to people like you who donate their time and talents, this allows us to, as I mentioned before, really democratize access, so expand access, scale up who can access and tap into high quality business support for organizations that are changing society for the better. So Taproot Plus is currently open to volunteers across the US, the UK, the EU, India, and Canada. And now through the updated Taproot website, you'll be joining our growing community of over 175,000 skilled volunteers through taprootfoundation.org instead of through the separate taprootplus.org site. And more on that to come. We'll talk about that a lot in just a few moments. And we have opportunities to give back that start at just 1 hour and expand into multi-week opportunities and partnerships as well. So that's Taproot Plus. That's our online programming. We also have a branch of our organization where we operate advisory services. And so to fuel our work of creating connections between dedicated volunteers like you and social good organizations, Taproot Foundation partners with forward-thinking companies and grant makers to develop really custom skills-based volunteering programs and nonprofit capacity building programs on their behalf. So we help them design, deliver, and evaluate these custom programs for their organizations. Since 2001, Taproot's advisory services team has collaborated with over 100 Fortune 500 companies and other organizations to match the expertise of employees with nonprofits and small businesses who need your support. And our best-in-class team of consultants works really intensively with employers, CSR, and HR teams to provide unique volunteering opportunities so that individual volunteers and employees can share talents with causes and communities that they really care deeply about. So one note that I do want to make here is that Taproot shares information on sponsored or local or team-based volunteer opportunities with community members when they're available. So if we have funding from a Taproot grant maker or corporate partner that enables us, we're able to host local or in-person pro bono events or programs that engage groups of volunteers. And so you'll either hear about these opportunities directly through your employer if they are a Taproot partner, or through your Taproot Plus account if there is an open access event that comes available in your region. So that's another huge bucket of how Taproot facilitates pro bono programming and is really growing the field and providing direct access to resources to nonprofits, small businesses, and direct access to opportunities to serve their community to volunteers like you all. And then the third bucket that I wanted to make sure we touch on today is field building. So Taproot, we are a nonprofit dedicated to serving fellow nonprofits. I know I've said that a few times already. And we do that by mobilizing a deeper level of volunteerism and community engagement. And so as such, we're here to change hearts and minds, making it so that every nonprofit has access to the professional infrastructure and capacity resources they need to fully act upon their missions. Because the pro bono and skills-based volunteerism ethic is so well established across professional fields like finance or advertising or IT or more. So that's what we're working towards collectively, right? And that involves a lot of coalition building, a lot of resource development and research investment. And so with that in mind, Taproot invests in things like conducting regular nonprofit and skills-based volunteerism sector research. We invest in the development of resources in areas like connecting skills-based volunteerism to inclusive professional development, in inclusive leadership development and growth, in things like building resiliency at nonprofits, and things like conducting studies and doing the research necessary so that we can calculate the value of an hour of pro bono consulting, what your donation really looks like in terms of the financial impact. We maintain a very well-stocked community events calendar with opportunities for education and community building. And we also are the co-founders of the the Global Pro Bono Network, which is a coalition of intermediaries facilitating skills-based volunteering around the world, and sharing resources to really strengthen one another's collective work. Finally, we host an annual Pro Bono Summit, which is an opportunity for volunteerism and employee engagement leaders to come together, to collaborate, to learn, listen from one another, and expand the pro bono movement, because that's what we're building here. It's a movement to benefit nonprofits and the communities that they serve. And so these field building resources and events, I do want to mention, they're always free of cost, because our nonprofit has that dedicated commitment to empowering the growth of high quality skills-based volunteerism access to ensure equitable resources are available to nonprofits across the country and across the world as well. So hopefully that gives you more of a lay of the land when it comes to who Taproot is. I've mentioned skills-based volunteering a few times, and I know since we did have some folks indicate they're completely new to this, they're completely new to the world of pro bono consulting, I did just want to take a pause here and put some definitions behind it, which you'll see here on the slide. Skills-based volunteering, at its simplest, it's a donation of one's abilities, talents, networks, and resources to social good organizations, to social causes. You might be familiar with the term pro bono, but only through the legal world. The ethic of pro bono, this idea of building, giving back into your professional development journey, is so well established in the legal space. Taproot, back in our founding, really wanted to build that same momentum in other fields like finance and HR and IT and advertising. You know, if it can exist in the legal space, those skills across professions are just as necessary for nonprofits, just as necessary for these social causes. And so we want to spread it to these other spaces as well. Huge benefits to both the nonprofits that you're serving and to you as the volunteer yourself. Obviously, for nonprofits who are working with skilled volunteers, it helps them fill experience gaps and gives them more time and tools to do the things that they are uniquely great at. And at the end of the day, you're helping to add to their capacity to serve their community. And then skills-based volunteering also helps you build lasting connections. You'll build a lasting relationship with the nonprofit that you support. This is more than just going to a local nonprofit and doing some hands-on volunteering for a couple of hours. Both experiences, great, wonderful, and definitely necessary. So skills-based volunteering shouldn't replace the other types of donations that you're doing, the other types of community service that you're involved in. It's just a different form and perhaps a bit of a deeper form of connecting with a cause, really learning about them, learning about what their organization needs in order to take those next steps to expanding their services. You become kind of a part of their team, a part of their unit for at least a few weeks over the course of your skills-based volunteering experience. And so definitely a different type of relationship and a bit of a deeper bond than you might be used to if you've only experienced traditional volunteerism in the past. A few stats I wanted to share just about skills-based through Taproot specifically. And don't worry about taking notes or trying to remember all of this. Again, I'll share out the deck after this. And this is just a few impact stats and Taproot's overall work with volunteers and the causes that you are able to connect with through Taproot's programs. A few things I wanted to note here. We have hundreds of active opportunities, and we update our program marketplace daily with more ways to give back. And so if you happen to log in or check out the Taproot site one day and you're not finding exactly what you need or exactly what you're interested in, come back in a couple of days and there's going to be fresh opportunities available for you. We have a very active nonprofit community, and our staff members are always standing by, ready to help be that matchmaker for you as well. So you can see here, we have over 400 virtual volunteer opportunities updated daily. And then of course, through the programs that I spoke about earlier, we do have a rotating availability of in-person or local events when the funding is available for them. Okay, but now to the reason many of you are here is Taproot just launched a new website. And so our look and feel is a lot different. And since many of you are used to only interacting with Taproot through our virtual programs, I want to make sure that we can spend a good amount of time going through the new website and talking really specifically about what to expect from these changes. So I'm going to go ahead, publish a bar right at the top of the screen. You should see it pop up. So if you haven't looked at the new website, I've added a link to the site right at the top that'll take you to our Taproot Plus landing page. But please definitely take the time, search through, explore it. We're really, really excited about the improvements and investments we've been able to make in our nonprofit site. And as I mentioned before, it was a big undertaking. The act of merging taprootfoundation.org and taprootplus.org. But we knew it was worth it because we knew that you and the rest of our community members really needed and deserved a more streamlined experience, meaning that you're better enabled to tap into the wealth of resources, case studies, industry knowledge that our nonprofit has developed over the past 20 plus years. At the same time, you're accessing volunteer opportunities through your Taproot Plus account. So we want you to be able to have that programmatic participation and be just as involved as you may have been before. But at the same time, we want you to be able to pull in resources and case studies and inspiration and all of the things available through our foundation while you're participating in specific Taproot programs. So now going forward, there's no more going to two separate places. We've combined it all under taprootfoundation.org. So if you previously accessed us through taprootplus.org, you may have already noticed that you're being redirected now to Taproot Foundation. That will be the case going forward. So if you have us saved as a link anywhere or a bookmark, you'll now be going to taprootfoundation.org. And so all of the information and skill donation opportunities exist in this one place, really improving the user experience for our community members across sectors, whether they're a volunteer like you all on the line today, from one of our nonprofit partners, our small business partners, or our corporate or grantmaker partners as well. And right here, you're seeing this is just a screenshot of our homepage. Again, definitely explore the site, dig into what's available. There's so much more than just the screenshots that you're seeing here. This is one from our new and improved volunteer landing page. As part of the revamped website, we've really invested in this page. We wanted to give our volunteers, our pro bono consultants, more immediate access to information on Taproot program options for business professionals. We wanted to give you more immediate access to why your skills matter to the social sector, examples from fellow pro bono consultants, sharing upcoming community events, new resources, and research. And then, of course, more immediate access to the flexible and diverse skilled volunteering experiences that we do have available through our online marketplace. And much of this page and the updates that we've been able to make to it, the content that we've been able to add, has really been fueled by user feedback from our volunteer community members. So really appreciate those who have provided feedback to us over the years, and really were able to help us improve the experience and the messaging and the content that we have available for our collective volunteer community. Definitely keep those comments coming. But I want to talk specifically about some of the features that have been updated. And I would say upgraded, not just updated, but upgraded. So the first one that I want to touch on is we have really enhanced the onboarding experience for not just our volunteer community members, but our nonprofits and small businesses as well. But for this event, I'll focus on the volunteer side. So now when you sign up for a Taproot account, instead of signing up and giving us just basic details and us kind of throwing you into the skills-based volunteering world, immediately bringing you into our volunteer marketplace, you're going to notice that there are some additional pages. We're going to walk you through a welcome journey instead of just throwing you into the deep end. We want to make sure that you know where to find all of the great resources on our site. And so if you do end up using the Get Started button, which will take us back to this screen for just a moment, but you'll see Get Started is always going to be an option for you in the top right corner of the screen. It's also always going to live in the footer of the site. You'll find options for whether you're interested in giving back, whether you're interested in utilizing volunteer resources for a nonprofit or for a small business. And you'll also find resources if you're looking to bring skills-based volunteering to your company or to your grant-making organization as well. You'll be taken through options on whether you're looking to speak with Taproot staff members for more info, if you're looking for events that you can attend, our FAQs, or if you're just ready to dive in. So we've really expanded that welcome journey to help funnel our community members to the right information in a really quick and efficient way. Through the onboarding process, you'll also have access to full education on Taproot's range of programming. So again, not just throwing you into the deep end, but we want to make sure that you're educated on all of the diverse options that you do have access to as a Taproot volunteer. Our on-demand kind of virtual volunteering options through Taproot Plus, as well as those potential team-based opportunities that are available when our funding partners enable us to make them available. Through the onboarding experience, you'll now have increased control over your email preferences, so enabling Taproot staff to check in with you more frequently to assist if needed while you're matched with a nonprofit during a pro bono engagement, or keep in touch on Taproot events, research efforts, etc. We also have made a full user support events and resources menu accessible for you during that onboarding experience as well. And the onboarding is always fully accessible through your user dashboard. So it's not just a one and done. You won't just see this while you're signing up, but you can always come back to it and utilize it as a resource throughout your Taproot volunteer experience. Really importantly, we wanted to make sure that this new website helped expand the skill donation opportunities that you all had available to us. This was feedback that was really important for us. So again, thank you for those who have been consistent in sharing with us. We have increased the support areas that you can give back to nonprofits through Taproot programming in. So previously, our skill buckets or our skill donation areas were in the buckets of marketing and communication, IT and technology, business development, human resources and leadership development. And we've now expanded those, and we've expanded the specific skills that can be donated and then utilized by nonprofits. And so you'll notice that when you sign into your Taproot account, there are now additional options under new buckets such as design and creative, software engineering, operations and analytics, as well as writing. And so this is to help us make obviously more targeted matches between you and nonprofits, but it's also to expand the potential impact that you have the possibility of making alongside social good causes. So we're very, very excited about these expanded skill sets and hope that these are helpful for you and help us reach a more diverse group of skilled business professionals as well. We've also added additional cause areas that you can support through skill donation. So a few of the cause area additions that we've made, things like workforce development agencies, international peace and security organizations, as well as breaking out hunger and food insecurity from more general buckets, because this was such a hotly desired filter by our volunteer community members. I know folks are really, really invested and passionate about working with these organizations in particular. And so we wanted to respond to that feedback and make it easier for you to share your skills with those targeted groups. Other features that I want to make sure we mention: we've improved the search capabilities of our volunteer marketplace. So again, trying to make it easier for you to access the opportunities that are near and dear to your heart. We want you to find the right cause to give back to, but we also want to make sure that it's the right fit skill-wise, and it's the right fit time commitment-wise as well. We know you are very, very busy humans. You are professionals, but you're also people, and the holiday season especially can be a really busy time for folks. And so we wanted to make it easier for you to filter by specific time commitments. And so through Taproot Plus, through our volunteer marketplace, you can now filter by 1-hour opportunities as well as multi-week partnerships. And that's also where a filter will exist if we have any events coming up, any pro bono events happening in your area as well. Events are typically 4 to 8 hour commitments. But primarily, you'll be able to see 1-hour consultation sessions versus multi-week project opportunities. Multi-week project opportunities typically mean that you're donating 2 to 5 hours a week for a nonprofit. So you'll now see a time commitment filter. You also see a filter for organization type. Through Taproot, you can support either nonprofits or small businesses. And so, again, we wanted to make it easier for you to narrow in on where you were choosing to donate your time and talents. You can filter by cause areas. I already mentioned a few of those additional ones that have been added in, as well as those additional skill sets. We've strengthened our keyword search as well. So there's a search bar at the top of the page. And so in case you're looking for giving back in a really specific way, you can type in the keyword, see what comes up, pops from the titles of the opportunities or the actual descriptions of the opportunities if you feel like our skill set list still isn't getting you close enough. And we've also built out a full pro bono menu, which is, again, accessible now through taprootfoundation.org. Nonprofits and small businesses can use that menu to kind of try and put specifics behind the general needs that are floating around their minds. And volunteers can look through that menu to see what really resonates with them, what really clicks in terms of, oh yeah, my corporate skills definitely translate to this nonprofit need. And so this menu is really helping be a translator in a lot of ways between the nonprofit sector and the corporate sector. So again, all ways that we're working to really improve your search capabilities and just what that experience looks like for our volunteers. And if you've been checking out the new Taproot website as we've been going, you're probably already going to have made it to this page. It's the opportunities marketplace, where you're going to see our active list of virtual opportunities. We also do have some local opportunities when nonprofits do require someone in their local community. These will pop up for you when you are logged in and within a certain geographic radius of that nonprofit. We're not going to promote you an in-person opportunity in LA if you're located in New York City, just for example. Okay, I want to get to some frequently asked questions. These were all things that were submitted in advance of the event. So again, really appreciate if you were one of those folks who did submit questions upon registration. That was super helpful as I was going through and creating this presentation deck. So let's start with the basics. How do I access my Taproot Plus account? Okay, great. You merge the two sites. What does this mean for me? Just pure logistics wise. So Taproot account access and sign up now flow through taprootfoundation.org. So again, I mentioned this a little earlier, taprootplus.org. If you already had an existing Taproot account, that was likely the link that you had saved, the link that was available in all of the emails that we had sent you before. Those links are now redirecting you to taprootfoundation.org because that is now our website. It's our one streamlined point of entry for Taproot information and programming. So your same email and password apply. That has not changed. But you will now access the site through taprootfoundation.org. And if you do have any access challenges, be in touch with our team and we can help you reset your password. Another one that came in from a couple folks, okay, you updated your website. Does this mean that you're now charging money? Or can we expect any fee changes or increases going forward? So our Taproot's program is still free to participate in. Yes, Taproot programming and resources are still cost-free for nonprofit, small businesses, and individual volunteers. That has not changed. There can't be a fee increase because we never charged a fee to begin with. We, as mentioned before, we're a nonprofit dedicated to inclusive access. And so we don't plan on putting any kind of cost barrier. I know that's something that folks are familiar with through some of the other pro bono or volunteerism intermediaries who do have fee structures in place or charge nonprofits to use their services. That's not something that Taproot ever does, and it's not something we intend to do either. And as mentioned before, Taproot Plus programming is currently accessible to professionals in the US, UK, EU, India, and Canada, and it's free across the board. Next question, and I got this from several folks beforehand too, which I appreciate. It gives me a chance to talk up. This was the website launch, but it's definitely not the end. We're just not dropping this new site on you and then never revisiting it. We have a lot of big plans for what's going to continue to be added to the site to improve your experience participating in Taproot programming. And so additional changes that you can expect. We are going to be continuing to invest in the volunteer dashboard functionality. Specifically, we want to make it easier for you to manage partnerships between you, nonprofit, and small business partners. We're going to be adding a lot more of our resources within that dashboard so that they're more integrated into your experience and easy for you to reference throughout the course of a pro bono partnership. We'll also be adding individual impact reports into your dashboard so you can see and celebrate the amazing work that you've done and the amazing impact that you've made on your social good partners. And making that shareable in case you want to tell your network on LinkedIn about it, or in case you want to share with your boss and say, in addition to all of the skill building and professional development I've been doing internally, I've been also looking externally at ways that I can continue building my project management skills, building my cross-cultural communication skills, all of the great professional benefits that do come out of skills-based volunteering. And then one thing that we're particularly excited about is we're going to continue to improve our location filterability. I know that's something that we've gotten some great feedback from you and across our volunteer community on. You want to connect with causes that are in your known neighborhood, and we want to make it easier for you to do that. And so that's something that you can expect through our volunteer marketplace over the coming months as well, and something we're very, very excited about doing. Okay, so let's talk quickly. I'm just keeping an eye on time, about 15 minutes left. So for folks who are interested in connecting with causes through Taproot. Obviously, I want to talk through the logistics of that a bit while we have some time together. I've already shared, hopefully I've already sold you on some of the great benefits of skills-based volunteering. Obviously, the biggest opportunity and the biggest benefit from donating your professional skills to nonprofits is the joy of making a difference alongside the people who are working every day to make our communities stronger, kinder, and more just. Nonprofits have been pulling additional weight over the past 3 years, serving heightened community needs. And over the coming years, we expect that load to increase. And so even though community needs have been increasing, donations, volunteer hours, funding from foundations and companies to these nonprofits has not increased in the same pace. And we can't predict what the next 4 years will bring. But this is a moment where it is really important for us to step up for nonprofits, help close the resource gap that organizations are facing in a more heightened way currently and expected in the months and years to come as well. A few other benefits that I just want to touch on here. Obviously, skills-based is a great way to expand your network. You get to connect with nonprofits, learn about their work, learn about the communities that you're serving. So really broaden your perspective in that way. You also potentially will work with other skilled volunteers along that journey. And so you'll get to build your professional network as well. At the same time, building your resume. Skills-based volunteering is a place where we recommend leaning into building some of those quote unquote soft skills. And I already mentioned a few of them a few moments ago. Things like project management, working in a brand new environment with a brand new team teaches you a lot about operating with different communication styles, different feedback preferences. So some of that cross-cultural communications work is always a great thing to be able to demonstrate to a current employer or potentially future employers if you're on the job hunt. And it's a great way to showcase your values and show potential employers or places of work what you stand for as a human and the types of values and what you'll bring into their culture and their office environment. And of course, it's a great place to strengthen existing skills. So for example, I currently work more in the program design and team management space, but I started my career doing project management, and then I shifted into marketing. And so when I choose to donate my skills, these days I'm currently looking for marketing opportunities because I don't get a chance to do a lot of just social media marketing in my day-to-day anymore, but I still want to keep those skill sets sharp. And so I find myself looking for like social media or content marketing opportunities or consultations that I can do because it's helping me keep those items on my resume within my portfolio really fresh and well stocked, even though I'm working kind of in a separate bucket right now. So great place to kind of keep skills sharp. Maybe not a great place to learn skills for the first time though. When you're working with a nonprofit, typically they're not going to have a professional on staff who's highly skilled in that area. So for example, if I'm donating social media skills to a nonprofit, they're not going to have a social media expert on staff. They're going to expect me to be able to work independently and lean into my expertise in that area without needing a mentor or a direct supervisor in that way. So great place to strengthen skills, maybe not build skills, if that makes sense. Okay, so just from a pure logistical perspective, in order to connect with opportunities through Taproot, you have to create a Taproot account. And that's how you'll get started. The link at the top of your screen will help with that as well. I recommend using an email that you check regularly. You'll be asked to complete skill and issue area selections upon sign up. This is going to help Taproot connect you or recommend connection opportunities for you that align with the skills that you've selected and the causes that you're interested in. So every so often, if you choose this in your email preferences selection, Taproot will email you with, hey, we just had a nonprofit post this opportunity. We think you might be a good fit for it. And so your skill selection enables us to try and make those connections for you. If you're ever having trouble finding the right opportunity, please just get in touch with the Taproot help desk, help@taprootplus.org. I promise it's a fully human help desk. So you're not talking to a machine. You're talking to actual Taproot staff members on my team. And there's nothing we like to do more than help create that connection between a volunteer and a great cause. And so please just reach out to us and we can help make a match and do a little sleuthing on your behalf. Upon sign up, you'll also be asked to add in things like a LinkedIn profile or a resume or a portfolio. These are going to be really important because when a nonprofit receives your interest in a project or a consultation call that they've posted, that they've requested pro bono support for, they are going to see a short statement of interest. So a little paragraph where you've described why you think you're the best fit for their need, why you're interested in giving back to their organization. So they'll receive your little statement of interest, basically like a mini cover letter. But they also are going to want to dig into, okay, well, what are the professional skills that they're bringing into this? How can I tell that this person is the right fit for me? And so having a LinkedIn or a resume or a portfolio attached to your account is one of the most helpful vetting measures that nonprofits will need in order to move forward on a partnership with you. We do have nonprofit partners that if you do not have any of those items attached, they will decline your application to help them because they just don't know who you are as a professional and they don't know what you would be able to donate to them. And so I do highly recommend attaching some sort of resume upon sign up. Next, you'll do some searching for a volunteer opportunity. I've mentioned this a few times. Taproot Plus has 2 on-demand pro bono options available for you. The first of which is a 1-hour consultation call, which is really helpful for nonprofits who need immediate problem solving or who are looking for brainstorming support or project planning for a larger initiative. So a few examples I would give there. If a nonprofit knows they need a new website, speaking from experience, just coming out of Taproot's website process ourselves, maybe we know we need a redesigned website, but we don't have any web talent on staff. We don't have software engineers or a product manager on staff, a UX designer. And so how do we even begin to approach redesigning, rebuilding a website? That can be a great fit for a consultation session, right? Just talking with an expert who has experience with website design and development to talk through, hey, lead me through what I should be working on first and the different stages I should be planning for, right? Oh, okay, I need to conduct stakeholder interviews to see what they need from a website. Okay, great. Didn't even think about that. Let me add that to my list as one of the projects I immediately need to get started with. I also mentioned problem solving as one of the things that can be really valuable through sessions. I know something, again, we Taproot nonprofit ourselves, and so we do try and practice what we preach and make use of volunteer resources when we're able to. We utilize Salesforce as our CRM, but we don't have a Salesforce technician or a professional on staff. And so, this was some time ago, but we knew we could make a report more efficient, but we couldn't figure out how to implement the changes in the back end. Did a session, did some screen sharing with a Salesforce expert, and we're able to fix that right away. So sessions really helpful for immediate support for nonprofits or some of that long-term planning. Taproot Plus projects are the multi-week partnerships that I was referencing before. Typically, you're looking at donating around 2 to 5 hours each week with a nonprofit. And these can be in any of the skill areas I mentioned before. But we always require that a nonprofit have a really specific deliverable. So you have a specific end outcome that you are working towards together to solve for. So these aren't ongoing job opportunities. These aren't ongoing staff positions. These have a specific and discrete deliverable that you are acting as a consultant to deliver, to create, design for them, and then hand over by the end of the project. So a few examples. I know we have some marketers on the line and some HR folks and business development folks. So an HR example would be something like, I need you to conduct an audit of our existing employee handbook. And I need you to make a list of comprehensive recommendations on missing policies, policies that need to be updated, etc. Something in the business development space. Oh my gosh, so much here. This is a huge bucket of nonprofit need. Creating pitch messaging for different audiences, whether it's local businesses that they're trying to bring in sponsors for, companies that they're trying to do fee-for-service programming with, foundations that they're trying to bring in as partners, or maybe as Gen Ops funding providers, or individual donors. How do you convey your value proposition to each one of those different stakeholder groups in a really compelling way? So leaning on skills from the sales world, as well as the business development space. And then in marketing, lots of discrete project opportunities there, ranging from creating a marketing dashboard, setting up Google Analytics, helping create a marketing strategy for the first time. That's a huge need for many of our nonprofits, since Taproot does work with a lot of smaller organizations. And I'm seeing a question. Thanks so much, Jill. Does a volunteer have to search by one skill at a time to find opportunities? And I have 5 skills. Do I need to choose each one separately? So when Taproot Systems sends you project or session opportunities, when we send you an email with, hey, this could be a good fit, our system is taking into account the variety of skills that you've selected, because no one project is only going to require just one professional capability. It's going to require a selection. And so when our system sends you recommendations, it will take that into account. Currently, as of this week, because of the website launch, our skill selection does only let you select from that one skill bucket, so operations and analytics or design and creative. But in the future, we're going to be updating that so you can multi-select specific skills that fall under each of those buckets. So under marketing and communications, you'll be able to find things like search engine optimization, Google Analytics, content marketing, etc. So one of the features that is to come. So how does Taproot know what my skill choices are? So if you are logged in, if you've created your Taproot account, and are logged into your account, then that is how our system knows what your skill selections are. And you always can update those through your user dashboard. Are the 1 hour and multi-week engagements only individual, or do we have team-based opportunities? Oh, and while I'm answering this, I'm going to go ahead and I want to make sure that this email address is up on the screen, because I know we'll have folks watching this recording back, and this is how you can get in touch with our team for additional questions going forward. So really good question. Thanks, Ingrid. 1 hour consultation sessions are individual. So these are going to be between a nonprofit team and then one volunteer. Multi-week partnerships typically are also one volunteer to one nonprofit. However, we always offer nonprofits the option to recruit additional volunteers if they think it's necessary. And Taproot does provide some recommendations on whether or not we think a project is it is necessary to connect with more than one person or not. And so I know it's a bad answer, but it truly is. It depends on the multi-week engagements. If you are interested in working with other volunteers, I would highly recommend that you stay tuned for those team-based opportunities that I spoke about earlier. So again, when Taproot has a funding partner, we're able to make team-based events and other programs possible. Or if you're coming to us from a company who is a partner of Taproot's, then that is how many of our team-based opportunities are made accessible as well. Please definitely keep dropping those questions into the chat. I know we have a few more minutes. I wanted to, as I'm waiting for any other questions to come in, I wanted to touch on this question of how will my skills translate? This was something I did get some pre-submitted questions about, and so I wanted to make sure I had the time to address it, because it is tough to know, like if you've only ever worked in the corporate world, how to transition that expertise into the nonprofit sector. That can feel daunting to a lot of folks. So I put a few recommendations on this slide. And again, this deck will be shared out with everyone on Monday. But I would encourage people to keep in mind that you and the nonprofit both bring really unique areas of expertise to a pro bono partnership. And so I recommend going into things open-minded and excited about what you stand to learn from the nonprofit. And the nonprofit is 100% going to be excited about what they stand to learn from you. You're both experts, just in different areas. And so with that in mind, a best practice of consulting is just going to be listening and seeking understanding before offering solutions. You are going to need to learn a lot about that nonprofit to understand what the best solution could be for them going forward, based on their budget, based on their team size, based on their team's expertise. You can't just copy and paste something that you may have done in your corporate job and expect that same solution to work at a very, very resource-strapped nonprofit where there's maybe only 2 paid staff members and a working board, right? And you're coming from the corporate world and you have a team of 10 around you. These are very different environments. And so it's really important that you do invest in that research and design process before developing a solution. So involve your nonprofit partner in decision-making, be direct with your recommendations, your needs, and your expectations for feedback from them. And, if you need materials or permissions shared with you, be really direct about that. And the last tip here is treating skills-based volunteering like paid work. Take it seriously. This is serious for the nonprofit that you're supporting, and it should be serious for you as well. And so make sure that you're being communicative. We understand that you're only human and human things come up. The holidays are right around the corner. And so if you need to step away from the pro bono partnership for a week for whatever reason, completely fine, right? These are meant to be flexible opportunities. You just need to communicate that with your pro bono partner. And that's going to help with this transition into pro bono consulting quite a bit. Just that preparedness to be open and responsive and communicative. All right, I think I've gotten to all of the questions in the chat, and I also see that we are officially at time. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up for today. But before I do that, just wanted to say another huge thank you for joining us today. Obviously, our nonprofit is just over the moon about being able to invest in our infrastructure and our programs in this way through our new website. We're so excited for you to be able to start utilizing it and exploring it yourself. And can't wait to work together to hopefully create more connections and more impact collectively across our nonprofit community. So definitely stay in touch with any questions. We will be in touch on Monday with follow-up from this event. So you'll receive the deck, the recording, as well as other resource and event opportunities that are coming up on the calendar. And definitely get in touch with us if you have any other questions. But for now, I'm going to leave you, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend all. Thank you so much.